So the first book I'm reading from, I got no idea how to pronounce the name of. Whatever you say is right. But I didn't start watching horror movies until I was like in my mid-20s. And are there a lot of horror movie fans here? I like them now, but I also like, it made me really sad. Like, I couldn't watch them without feeling like kind of sad for the monsters. Because when you think about it, like in every monster story, like how do you become a vampire? So, well, yeah, somebody sucks your blood or attacks you, right? And then you survive it. And so basically, you've been victimized, you've had this trauma happen, and then suddenly you become the perpetrator of that trauma. And that's what happens over and over again. I mean, we get these characters like, even, and sorry, I'm going to wreck some of these horror movies for you, but even like with Jason Voorhees, basically like the first movie that he's in, his mom is really angry because she sent her kid to camp and the counselors let him die because he was just didn't seem as good as the other kids. And so she goes back to kill everybody because she doesn't know how to deal with her trauma or her grief. And then I started looking into even the word monster, and it actually starts off with this root moner, which it means to warn, but in earlier uses it also referred directly to talent. And so anything that like just isn't average is monstrous from sort of the etymology of the word, which is really weird to think about. So I wrote a bunch of laments for unlamentable things, and I'm going to start off with a lament for Dracula. The mist thought itself a man. The man thought himself down to the thin, woke damp, woke dim, symmetric and dumb-strung across the tobacco rows of Ivor, Virginia. Pink flowers to trouble the hair, pink flowers to fret empty the lungs. What has begun, began, with a drunk firing a frog gig, navigating swamp lands by muzzle flash. She named the shots stars. Next came you. You to carve ghost into bus stop benches. You to cry into the barrels of your guns. We can live forever among our wrong loves if we can grieve, if we believe we are capable of any real grief. We're not. Trace a name beneath the black plate of the moon, your secret constellations. Try to share them with anyone, and you'll never aim at the right spot. So plot their ecliptics for yourself. Track their unluster. The man thought itself a mist, and so thought it could know itself by what it filled, by what encircled it. And so it disappeared. If you're alive, it's because the heart is a smaller target than you'd think. Thanks. So here's another one. This is the lament for Dr. Frankenstein, because I couldn't really write one for the monster. He's so sad. And Dr. Frankenstein's sad too, but there is no word for digging in the rain, but it should have a wet sound to it. The act of creation is like doing the foxtrot with crutches, except I would not crush your toes, you'd crush mine, and together we'd have a miserable sort of grace. For the sound, sledging maybe. None of my birdhouses, bookends, or recipes have hated me for making them, though once the tail of a paper tiger slit the skin beneath my pinky nail. I think it was an accident. Victor, I like the structure of dance, and my apologies, but we need to compare the interpretation of grief to grief itself. The beautiful girl who works the register at the Piggly Wiggly tells me, each time I go to buy my milk and my whatchamacallits, my plum cots and grapples, that beauty is dead. And because I believe her when she says she has suffered more than I have, I distrust everything she says. But she may be right. What I'm saying, Victor, is that no one ever listened to you for the same reason that no one ever listens. You can't trust a person in pain to decide what's best for themselves. Since this is our dance, let's cut the bullshit. When it comes to you, there are two things I regret. And one, if you were dumber, you'd never have been a monster. And two, you could never have been any dumber. And three, and turn. So this is a prose poem that's in the middle. I'm going to read it a little bit faster. Oh, it's okay. Tiki can read along. This is called To Prevent Pain, and please don't follow this as advice. To prevent pain, cause pain. Be first, be fast. Oh yes, at last a way to strip the desperate from the landscape, a way to put yourself back into it. To kiss me would be cruel, so kiss me. And wake to the mice that startle the brush, to someone who kneels down to touch your lips with a finger, then with their own faint mouth. But there were neither hips nor skin, not even your own. There was a tree, and the tree and the night were tressed, all knotted and gnarled with the stars. Tonight, the forest is empty of its little prey. They dine at the feet of the cities. Hunters feather the trees. There are no fingertips to slender the constellations from the branches, no callous sky. And so you want to die. But if you want to die, you won't. But you will, calls out the owl. Calls out the owl to the tiny wild. And so this is the last one from this book I'm going to read. It's called Lament for the Shape. Anybody recognize the monster that refers to? Apparently, like the first Michael Myers movie, he was just referred to as the Shape instead of an actual person. So just to dehumanize him even more. Lament for the Shape. Your house abandoned you for another family. Your family replaced you with a decorative statue of a dog butler that they keep in the foyer. Your own dog smiles at the mailman. He wakes you at night, holding your head between his jaws. His teeth appear from out the dreams of Saul's. One day soon, he will be brave enough to close them. Michael, there is so much to be comfortable with now that everything is a threat. We whimper through our pleasures. The flowers color. The ocean falls into itself and rests. You sit on a park bench reading Proust. Be careful out there, Michael, because our bodies were built to betray. They are not ours. They subject us to their tortures, their needs. I wear each indignity like a heart or cigarettes on my sleeve, without the slightest hesitation. The body is a blank, and a blank is something to be filled. Mask my face between my fingers so I can't see what I'm doing, what is being done. Cover it. Let me guess what's underneath. It's time for us to have some fun, to burn down everyone who left us alone. The list has one name, me. And so I am showering myself in gasoline. You should probably do the same, and we can build new selves. Out of latex or wood or paper mache, let's fill ourselves with children's candy. Let's give everyone bats and let them have at. We can talk to the masks we wear. We can expect them to listen. Michael, everyone is so serious, which is such a relief because I only have ridiculous things to say. And sorry, I want to ask, how am I doing on time right now? Do we? Okay. I'm going to try to open this up and use the light to sort of make, these are some ghost poems. So I'm going to do the scary flashlight sort of thing. I'm not going to mess up the mic setup, am I? I'll try to sneak it in. Okay. Yeah, this should be all right. Okay. So all these are called My Ghost, and they're love poems, because, of course, that makes sense. My ghost was all bones and opaqueness, so I took her to the ghost market, thinking I could trade in this ghost, perhaps, for a newer, more betterer ghost. But once there, it was all wrong. One couldn't wail, another wasn't dim enough. Rows of laundry whites stained the breeze. Everyone smelled of wood ash and dried leaves. There were ghosts on sale that couldn't have been anything but people with sheets over their heads. From inside, I imagined their eyes straining and noticed my eyes too, searching to see anything behind the cloth. My ghost has a favorite game that she calls Does It Have a Soul? She points to things and says yes. I point at things and she says no. This is how it's played. The frames of houses clatter like bones when the train comes through. Wind stirs the leaves like a fancy drink in a fancy glass. That was me, she shouts into my ear. My body is made of wind. But when it blows, it's the wind that blows. And the bones are the bones, and the trains are the trains, and she is not, nor was she ever even the wind. Whatever we are, we can escape it, and yet we don't. My ghost tries to kiss me outside of the cabin. The black fire of evening, a smoke that buzzes along with the insects and the generators in my little idiot heart. Trees stubbornly tear the winds to shreds. When I ask her to show me where she grew up, she points down. An entire town suggesting itself a history written in foundation stones. She asks about the moon, what's behind its face, and why we can't see it. I don't understand. I don't understand, I say. It's rare that we can see the moon, especially fully, even when it's facing us. My ghost doesn't understand me nor me her. I sit in the dark garage, and the dark makes dark shapes. Outside, feet pass by. The pilot light in the water heater tower is shy and small and blue, like a soul. Poor, sad light. Something mechanical clucks its tongue. Feet continue passing near the door. It's easy to fall in love with the world. People fall into love like it was an uncovered well. Once, I saw the snow turn green as it fell. I ask my ghost if she's happy, but she's not there. I'm talking to a chair with a stranger's coat draped over its back. My ghost was gone. Thin as human, I understood. Things go. Are, was, and were gone. Because I had not yet learned quite how to disappear, I kept looking for her. I cried so hard, my eyes went black. At the town hall, I asked the ghost clerk for my ghost records. It's a real thing. At the hardware store, I bought a shovel and a bottle of grape crush. Went to the cemetery without any flowers. But in the belly of her grave, all I found were some of the parts of a body. The crows were drunk again, and again they were laughing at me. And what now? It seemed like a good time to drink a soda, so I drank my soda. I couldn't see it, but I knew my upper lip must be purple. All you can do is love what you are and try to accept that it won't last. Thanks. So I've worked in publishing for a long time on and off. Have you guys heard of a journal called Spork or a chapbook press called Spork? I'd edited for them for a little while, and I'd sort of learned how to make physical books, and as a result, anytime I try to find work that I like, I'll just try to make it into a book to sort of share with friends. And right now, I don't know about you guys, I get really kind of bummed out about the state of poetry sometimes. Just some of the conversations seem very, everybody's very angry, and people don't seem to be listening all that much. But there's so much good work being done, so many great communities, and just everybody's being quiet. So I wanted to put together a chapbook of just stuff I love from last year. If any of you guys are interested, find me on Facebook. There's an address form to fill out, and I'll just send you a copy. It's going to be probably shipped out on Friday, so do it sooner than later. But if you guys don't mind, I'd just like to read some of those poems, because they're neat. So this is called Number 62. It's by a guy named Shuntaro Tanakawa. This is translated, or he calls it interpreted, by Thomas Fitzsimmons. Because the world itself loves me, cruelly at times, gently, I can always be alone. Even when I first was given another, all I could hear was the world, its voices. For me, there are only the simple griefs and joys. I belong always and only to the world. Sky, trees, earth's flood of people. Into these I leap. And that richness is me. But turn me to one person singly, the whole world fades. There is no me. Yeah, so I guess I'm doing a lot of ghost poems. Sorry, guys. This is by, do you guys know Jason Bredel? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. His work, Bredel? Jason Bredel's work, yeah. So this is from his book, Smiles of the Unstoppable, that I found last year. It's called City of Ghost. I should be more serious to read this. He's a very serious poet. I'll stand up straight. I visited the place and did the thing. It's something you have to do. Later, I went to Jane's. There was a guinea pig. I took a hot shower and almost fainted. I lay on the shower floor. It was my birthday. A sailboat of grenades drifted ashore. The grenades were filled with black moths. It was the coast. I couldn't pronounce the name of the village. I counted everything I'd ever done, and the answer was 36. Making music makes me happy, but I've never known how to make music. Do we have, is the last reader here yet? Okay, let me know. Is this okay? Do you guys mind me doing this? These are just really neat stuff. I feel guilty reading these out loud because I don't know how people want them to be performed, but they're just such beautiful poems. This one's really short. It's by a poet named Lauren Gordon, and it's from her book called Fiddle is Flood. It's a chapbook about, she did a Nancy Drew chapbook, but this was her Little House on the Prairie chapbook. So all the poems are about the sort of like weird sexuality, the weird death issues that exist within this Little House on the Prairie series, but are never directly addressed. And this poem's very short, but it's pretty. It's called Fiddle is Flood. Fiddle is flood, and the baby is dead, and the floor is wood, and this is good. That's it. I mean, God, there's that weird rhyme between wood and good, and it's so heavy, and like, how do you put these things together? I'm just imagining the scenario of like, the baby dying, and you're in this house, and you're just looking at the things around you, and just quantifying them, and just trying to figure out how to turn it into something that you can make positive. And have any of you guys come across Chelsea Martin's work? She's more prosy. Good. She had a book called Even Though I Don't Miss You, which is one of the best, like, if you're ever just pining about relationships, read it. It's a lot of really short prose poem sections, and this is a small section from that. Yesterday, I saw a girl walking down the street, tears streaming down her entirely unexpressive face, mouth open, while emitting no noise and neglecting to wipe the tears from her face and neck. So now I know for sure I'm not the only person who does that. Yeah. No, that one's too dark. I don't want to bring you guys down tonight. Okay, there's a journal that just came out that I really loved, just the design and everything they're doing. It's called Witchcraft. It's Catch Business and Elle Nash, two poets who I think are out of Colorado. I'm not positive on that, but in this journal, this is a poem by a guy named Oliver Zarandi. I'm sorry, I read and I'm by myself all the time, so I have no idea how to pronounce most names. Please forgive me for it. But it's called Cats. Sorry, Tiki. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Cats? Is that the right pronunciation? It's something like that. Well, he divided his cat in two with a butter knife. This was how bored he was, how dissatisfied he was with city life. The cat, lying atop a dining room table with a plastic red and white checkered sheet, had two glassy eyes. He buried half the cat in a small memorial garden around the corner from his apartment. He buried the other half under his floorboards. He was still bored. He thought about putting the cat back together again, going backwards through his life and then going forward again. Poor cat. And this is another little older one, but also it has a dead cat in it. I'm noticing all these trends now. I really love animals. Apparently, I really love grief, too. And this is from, I'm not sure if it's a long poem or sections without titles, but Emily Kendall Frey's book, Sorrow Arrow, which I recommend picking up. It's from Octopus Books. And it starts out the very cheery line. The first person you loved will die. Their ass will be gone, all of your cats will die, and their arrow jaws will break. Come with me. My mother was sad for 10 years. The curtains will die. Your giant, startling veracity. There's a greenhouse in the park next to a cemetery where Jimi Hendrix is buried. Across the street is a big tree encircled with benches. Everyone will die. The wet smoke of night won't save us. Oh, that is real dark. I'm going to read that out loud. And are we good?
Good.
Cool. Thank you guys very much.